In this video, we're going to be breaking down 4 oddly specific ways we've landed placements with millions and millions of streams, going into detail of exactly how we got the connection, how we made it happen, as well as the crucial lessons we've learned from all of these experiences. Trust us, there is no exact method that you can follow to guarantee a placement with a lot of streams. However, as you're about to see, there are a lot of things that you can do to massively increase your chances of landing placements. If we had seen this video about 2.5 years ago when we were starting this, it would have opened our eyes up a ton to see what's possible. Let's break these down. It's time to get some placements. Let's get into it.
The first placement we'll be covering is the song Kama Sutra by Nemzzz. Our first Brazilian placement. It was also our first placement that reached more than 1 million streams, as well as the fact that we got our Spotify profile international featured as an artist on the song. Now, how do we get this? Back in 2023, when we were sort of first just starting out making samples, getting into the music industry, we saw that one of Enzo's producers, who had recently just produced one of the biggest hits in Brazil at the time called 202, just put his email up on his story and said, send samples here. He was also one of the biggest type beat producers in the Travis Scott x Don Toliver niche, which we were primarily making samples for at the time. We saw it as a win-win. We could try to get a song with Enzo, as well as we could just get samples to him, and hopefully he would just end up using them on his type beat channel. We sent to his email, and then for the next 6 months straight, probably at least once a week, we were sending anywhere from 3 to 6 samples. And remember, this is 6 months of just blindly sending samples, no responses at all. We finally got a response from him 6 months later, and he'd literally just replied to a sample we'd sent him. This is fire, send more like this. Which is exactly what we did. We really started to lock in on the style that he wanted and just kept on sending the same kinds of samples to him. Now, one day we just came across Enzo's story and he was playing a snippet. We immediately recognized the sample and we knew it was Eros's beat as well because he had tagged him on the story. About 3 or 4 months after the snippet first surfaced, we got the business sorted, knew the song was coming out the next month. From when we made the sample to when it was released, it was about 4 months, which in general, when it comes to landing placements and getting songs, probably one of the fastest situations we will ever have. Here's 2 crucial lessons that you can take away so you can do the same for your own placements. Firstly, you need to do your research and be following artists, producers, A&Rs, anybody who's in the music scene and who's relevant to the music that you make. People are always looking for samples, people are always looking for beats, and people are always putting their emails on their stories. Way more common than you think. And if 1, you're not following the right people, and 2, if you're not active scrolling through stories, you're never going to get the opportunity to even get a hold of an email. Go on Spotify credits. Who are the producers on the songs of music that you make? What producers are making type beats in the same niche of music as you? And just go on mutual friends on Instagram. Go on somebody that you know is well connected. Go on their followers. Go on their following. Just go through. Always thinking of how can I expand my network? How can I send my beats and samples out? And secondly, once you've secured an email, once you've secured a phone number, you send to them and you never ever stop. There is absolutely no benefit sending to them once and then never again. Whereas if you send to them, let's say 3 times a week over a complete year, you would have sent them around 150 beats or samples, whatever you're sending. If your music's good enough and you're sending to the right person, the right stuff, it is almost a guarantee that somebody's going to use one thing from 150 pieces of music. The bottom line here, keep sending, never ever stop, unless they ask you to.
The next placement is, of course, our placement we got with Nemzzz for the song Pay.
Yo, you're trying to be paid and seen. I'm trying to get paid and ghost. I want to stay low key.
This was our first kind of mainstream placement. You know, the first song where our friends would know of the song, as well as at the time Nemzzz was one of our favorite artists. It was a really cool placement to get. How we got this placement, it all started when we started sending to a producer called Segway. He had a YouTube channel at the time making Nemzzz type beats. Segway used the paid sample, made a beat on it for a type beat, and posted that on his channel as a Nemzzz type beat. It's actually still up on YouTube. We did realize that the sound of the sample was really cool and actually unique at the time. And then about 3 months went by from that. And as far as we know, Nemzzz found the beat on YouTube. Nemzzz management eventually asked Segway for the stems of the whole beat, including our sample. They would have sent that to Zell, Nemzz's producer, where he did his thing and finished off the beat for Nemzzz to record on. Then maybe another month or so went by, and we were in Brazil at the time when all of a sudden we got back from the beach, went onto Nemzz's story on our phone, and he was in some car playing Paid, or maybe it was a demo at the time. And guess what? We're walking up the stairs and Sean goes, yeah!
She want my attention. You don't like being alone.
We heard the sample, we were gassed. However, we didn't want to get too hype as Of course, songs are always snippeted, but it doesn't mean they're going to be released. And then about 6 or 7 months went by after that original snippet, which is a while. The song was released. It was the final track on his second album, Rent's Due, and at the moment it's sitting on about 3.4 million streams, our most streamed song at this point. That's how we landed the placement. Here are our lessons to you from that experience. If you make samples, you need to be sending them out regularly. No one's going to hear them if they're sitting on your hard drive. That should be quite obvious. We just sent this to Segway just like any other sample we'd sent in the past. It was just part of our weekly routine of sending our samples off and staying consistent doing that. Patience was key for this whole process as well. Songs take a long time to be released, and sometimes they don't get released at all. So this was a learning experience for us to, once we heard that snippet, to not take it too seriously, not expect anything from it, and kind of detach from it a little bit, where if you just accept that it may or may not come out and get on with the things you're doing already, it may come out, it may not, you don't mind.
Our third placement, definitely one of our favorite experiences in our music career so far. And this was the song In My Bag by Nemzzz.
Selling foot pics, trying to get in her bag. My bro in his bag, trying to grab her bag. Can't flex on man with that 20 stack.
2 years ago, we went to Europe. We were just sort of starting our music career, posting free sample packs. And while we were in Europe, specifically at this time in London, we were just sending DMs out to people trying to meet up. Keep in mind, at the time, we probably have like 200 followers. We have no placements. Nobody knows who we are. Our music's not that great, but we were just out there shooting our shots, just trying to get in contact with anybody we could. A producer duo called F&R Beats replied to us out of the random, invited us to their studio in South London, and we were like,
what's the worst that could happen?
Get
stabbed in Brixton or something?
Fuck it, we'll just go. Caught a train, took an hour from where we were, trained down, walked 2.5 kilometers to the studio session. We got along with both the guys really well. I think it helped that we're both producer duos. Anyway, at the end of the session, they said, come back on Thursday. We've got this artist called Nemzzz. He hasn't released any music yet, but he's a sick artist. Come and make some music with him. So we went back the next day, made 2 songs. In My Bag happened to be one of them. And a whole year later, they ended up releasing that song, In My Bag.
Yeah, if I'm down a flag.
And this is one of the most important takeaways. We stayed in contact. We kept sending samples to FNR. We kept sending FLPs and just working with these guys and just nurtured the relationship that we'd built. That was his first ever song. And now Nemzzz is just one of the fastest growing artists in the UK right now. We probably have like 20 songs unreleased with FNR and Nemzzz. A great lesson to take from this as well is just travel when and if you can. In-person connections are by far the best you can make in the music industry. And even if you have like online friends or producers that you know online, meeting up with them can really just strengthen that bond you have between them. It does make relationships a lot better in person.
The next placement we landed that we want to talk about is Gonzi Montana by the artist Gonzi. Now the way we landed this, again, was different to the past 3 placements we've talked about. This all started when we were in Portugal at some random hippie campsite thing. We went into the common room there, picked up the guitar, started making a sample. We hadn't played guitar in weeks because we were on a holiday. Anyway, we made this cool sample. At the time, it was just like, oh, cool, another one to add to our sample pack, because we were consistently releasing free sample packs every 2 weeks or so at the time. So we posted that sample pack in September 2023 on the YouTube, free sample pack. Then about 4 months after that, Dozer messaged us on Instagram. He sent it to us, was like, did you guys make this? Because he had made a beat on it and send it to Gonzi, who he'd made a connection with, which is another crazy story. He was watching Gonzi's live on Instagram and managed to get his email and send a beat to, but anyway, at this stage, we haven't done anything in person. We've just put the sample out there on YouTube. Dozer's downloaded it. And then 6 months later, in June 2024, the song came out. It was a single before his album came out. This was just before we went to Brazil. It was pretty cool, and all from a free sample pack. From this placement, and following this, a few other big ones we got with our free sample packs, we realized the potential in posting your free sample packs. Earlier in international, we definitely started off putting pretty much all of our samples out for free. However, now from time to time, a few times a year, we'll release a sample pack with some samples that we don't mind putting out there for free. It's the equivalent of posting type beats for a beat maker. You have the potential to blow up. Anyone can find it if you post on YouTube. Why not take the opportunity? And there's a reason we still do it. The majority of our productions still is very exclusive, and the public won't hear it until it gets released with artists or whatever. But we ensure that we still put out free stuff for people to use. And the other thing we learned here is that those massive artists aren't necessarily working with massive producers producers as well. You can have smaller producers who are really talented that have somehow got a connection with a big artist. It's just about finding the right person, being active, being on the stories if they post their email, being on people's lives, thinking outside the box and finding ways to get your music in front of people. You should never write out a producer just on the fact that they have a small following and maybe not many placements. So as long as people making good music, we try not to write them off at all just because they don't have a lot of experience. The one thing you can control is the work you do, your time and effort and ability to get heard from other people. So with those valuable lessons, we hope they can help you land some placements and eventually turn this into a career, the best job that we can think of. Check out our Instagram down below, keep up with us, but cheers for watching and we'll see you guys in the next one.